Thank you, and thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, councillors. I'm aware of the 5-minute rule, so I'll try to stick within it, and I'm here this evening as a citizen, not on anyone's behalf. I will say, though, that in the spring and summer of 2024, leading up to last year's provincial and municipal elections, I did start to hear a lot of concerns from then constituents about the federal Housing Accelerator Fund and what it means for Saskatoon, and rezoning Saskatoon, upzoning Saskatoon, and what strings are attached. And so I have followed that since the elections as much as I can. And what I can glean, 41.3 million over 3 years, and of course, this isn't free money, this is all taxpayers' money from the federal government to fast-track housing with transit as a major component, green transit, and of course with that zoning changes so that new units up to 4 stories, is my understanding, will be permitted near transit corridors. So on the zoning changes proposed for Stonebridge, specifically on Lewin, this is more or less across from the 2 schools and one of the most congested areas in the neighborhood, twice a day. You'll know if you've ever tried to get in or out of Stonebridge in the morning or after school or leading to after work. The last thing that we need there is more congestion. Or as the city calls it, density. I mean, Stonebridge is already very, very dense. It says on the city website that residential development is not planned for green spaces, for parks or other similar areas, and that space on Lewin is a green area, at least currently, and it would make for a very nice green space in what is a very tight space. We need green space. Rezoning that area will also surely, as has been suggested, impact housing values in and around there. And I think that people have a right to know that. And really what the, let's call it ideology of adding density and changing established zoning, which people trust in and buy based on, really means. Also, if you follow the Stonebridge Watch and site, and talk to people. There are already so many issues involving crime, petty theft, vandalism, intimidation in and around the densely packed housing units that are already in Stonebridge. We just can't have any more. Bottom line, I think, Your Worship, there is a lot of confusion. I had to dig around. I'm still not completely clear. I mean, I was told at one point that Lewin area was slated for commercial. Then it was going to be a link transit hub, I heard. But then, of course, here are the published zoning changes. So I'm assuming that given the new bus curb, let's call it bus curb on Preston, it's all part of this federal Housing Accelerator change proposal. And Preston is another issue, and we'll talk about that later. I also think that there should be a hard copy notice sent to everyone in Stonebridge describing exactly what is planned here for when and how it really fits into the transit picture and the property value picture. And maybe it's in the mail, and it's just a matter of the postal strike. It was alluded to that there was notice given to people in the immediate area, but I really think that all of Stonebridge should be sent this information because all of Stonebridge is affected, and telling people to go to the website just isn't enough because they've heard that if they are in a certain proximity to transit, a 4-story unit could easily pop up right beside them if the house next to them is sold. Is that the case? I'll leave it there. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Your Worship. This is to specifically address the general zoning notice that appeared as referenced on the city page on October 11 and focused mainly on the zoning changes proposed for Preston Avenue in the Nutana Park area, neighborhood. I grew up around there, so it's close to my heart. Concerned at reports I've heard also incidentally about how The city will no longer be publishing anything in the city pages. I'm not sure if that's correct. I mean, we all know papers are in trouble. What you're replacing that with potentially is unclear, and if it is just the website, I think that is unfortunate. But in this case, reading the tea leaves and based on, again, the bus curb that's popped up in Stonebridge on Preston behind Sobeys, and the one outside Walter Murray Collegiate, I mean, obviously apparent that Preston is going to become a rapid transit corridor. Have you driven down Preston in rush hour? It is back to back. It is backed up, particularly between the freeway and Louise and Adelaide Street and, well, really 8th, and really from inside Stonebridge over the overpass and all the way down Preston to 14th. So how are you going to do this? And a big question, are you going to rip up and rip out the 60 to 70-year-old elm trees along Preston to add more room? Because I am begging you not to do that, and really not to uglify what is a very pretty street in an older neighborhood. Also, how is rapid transit down Preston going to impact on-street parking? Because a lot of those houses don't have garages, and where is all the snow going to go in the winter? And looking at the zoning map, and it was shown here, the proposed 4 or more story building, let's call it, is right in the middle of residential housing on Preston, on what is most of the day a very congested street. And again, I don't think people realize this and the impact that this is going to have on their street and their community. And just as part of that rapid transit corridor down Preston, I guess there were the buses themselves, and I understand that one of the strings attached to getting the 41 million in federal funding for the Housing Accelerator Fund was green transit. And I think the city has to be clearer with Saskatoon taxpayers about what buses have been bought or which buses the city is going to buy. You know, are they EV? I've heard they're now diesel. Is it federal money? Is it provincial money? How much really is the bus component of all of this going to cost? And how will any of this alter the fact that bus ridership is down, that it takes an hour to get most places? I mean, I've had several people prove that to me in recent weeks, and obviously crime on buses is up. For me, I mean, I went everywhere on the bus when I was young. My mom didn't drive. We had rapid transit. You could get from Adelaide Churchill to the university or downtown and back each way, basically in under 10, 15 minutes. I mean, the transfer system was efficient and it worked. So over the years, obviously, all of that has changed, but it really is a matter of questioning, is it a matter of upending and reinventing everything, or just making what we have more efficient? Because we used to have rapid transit, but mainly, Your Worship, very concerned about the impact on Preston and the fact that I don't think people realize where this is going in that regard. Thank you.